The most profitable movie of 2026 so far, and frankly, may be impossible to beat. One that set records. Obsession is up next on QuipQuest Deep Dive Extra.
The premise. At the heart of Obsession lies a simple, contained, but brilliant premise. What if your dreams come true, but those dreams turn out to be your worst nightmare?
Bear, Michael Johnston, is an insecure 20-something who spends most of his time pining after his co-worker and childhood friend, Nikki, Inde Navarrette. They work together in a music store, living a harmless life in American suburbia, going to trivia nights, taking turns at karaoke, hopping between bars and house parties. When Nikki puts in her 2 weeks' notice, Bear panics. He buys a mysterious one-wish willow novelty toy, a cheap-looking bark trinket from a store called You Wish, and makes a desperate wish for Nikki to love him more than anyone in the fucking world.
The wish is granted instantly, but what begins as a supernatural romance, his fantasy girlfriend suddenly obsessed with him, spirals into a disturbing psychological horror story about control, desire, consent, and the terrifying consequences of getting exactly what you wished for. As Nikki's fixation becomes increasingly violent and possessive, Bear realizes too late that he never had her consent and that something else has taken control of her body.
Notable cast and performances. Michael Johnston, Bear, best known for Teen Wolf and Slash. Johnston delivers a performance that locks the audience into his guilt and desperation the entire runtime. A nice guy who slowly reveals himself to be his own kind of monster. Barker's script turns the familiar trope of male loneliness and entitlement inside out. Bear is shy, well-meaning, and considerate, yet when given a choice to end a relationship where his partner has been stripped of her autonomy, he chooses to stay.
Inde Navarrette, Nikki, a breakout award-worthy turn from 13 Reasons Why and Superman and Lois actress. Navarrette shifts from warm and charming to demonically obsessive in a heartbeat, contorting her face, body, and voice with an eerily physical performance that critics are comparing to Mia Goth in Per and Toni Collette in Hereditary. She sheds every last bit of vanity and goes the distance for the film's demented vision, delivering what may be the defining horror performance of the decade.
Copper Tomlinson, Ian, Bear's exasperated best friend and Barker's real-life comedy partner from their YouTube days. Their on-screen chemistry feels genuinely lived in.
Megan Lawless, Sarah, the friend caught in the crossfire. Lawless brings grounding humanity to a role that becomes the film's most devastating emotional casualty.
Andy Richter is Carter. Yes, Conan O'Brien's sidekick appears in a supporting role, bringing unexpected gravitas to the beleaguered music store manager.
Jeff Barker, the incantation reciter. The director's father, a playwright, wrote and performs a blood-curdling short incantation passage recited about halfway through the movie. My dad has a mind that lends itself well to that type of creepy stuff, Barker told Polygon, like father, like son.
Curry Barker, the 26-year-old YouTube to Hollywood phenom. Barker's origin story is the stuff of Hollywood legend. Before Obsession, he was working at a coffee shop, grinding out scripts at home after shifts. His 22-minute horror short, The Chair from 2023, was spotted on YouTube by producer James Harris, T-Shop Productions. Harris reached out through Barker's manager with an offer, a micro-budget program for up-and-coming filmmakers. Harris wanted a feature-length version of The Chair. Barker had other ideas. That's awesome, but I'm really excited about this Obsession idea that I've been toying around with. So can I pitch you that instead?
Harris said yes. Barker wrote the script while working his coffee shop job, coming home each night to chip away at what would become a worldwide theatrical release. The pressure was kind of on, just because of me recognizing this opportunity, Barker told NBC's Scene on the Screen podcast. But there was no way in the world that I thought it would become a worldwide theatrical release.
Barker's career trajectory in 2026 mirrors the comedy to horror pipeline established by Jordan Peele, Get Out, Zach Greger, Barbarian, Weapons, and Filippo Brothers' Talk to Me, except Barker achieved it faster, younger, and on a fraction of the budget.
Bizarre and behind-the-scenes facts. A Simpsons episode sparked the entire movie. Barker first had the idea for Obsession while hosting friends to watch an It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode he had a small role in. Before the episode aired, The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 2 came on. The segment where Bart buys a cursed monkey paw at a Moroccan market. I was just so excited to see my Always Sunny episode, Barker told Triple J, but it hit me right then and there on the couch that Obsession idea I had would be perfect if it was a Wish movie. I remember being on the couch and being like, oh my god, and writing it down.
The One Wish Willow was a deliberate monkey's paw subversion. I didn't want to use the monkey's paw because it was too recognizable, Barker told Variety. Instead, he invented the One Wish Willow, a cheap bark trinket sold at a fictional store called You Wish. The object had to feel kitschy and unassuming, not ancient or cursed. That contrast makes it horror land harder. Something so benign looking shouldn't be able to destroy lives.
Steven Spielberg praised it. Yes, that's Steven Spielberg. The legendary director publicly lauded both Obsession and Backrooms for turning low budgets into box office gold, calling them the future of independent filmmaking.
The art director was paid so little she complained publicly. Art director Sally Choi took to social media during the film's box office surge to complain about her pay on the production. The post went viral, prompting both sympathy and criticism. Barker has not publicly commented, but the incident highlighted the uncomfortable reality of micro-budget filmmaking. When a film makes $242 million on a $750,000 budget, not everyone shares in the upside proportionally.
The India release was heavily censored and audiences were furious. When Obsession was released in India on May 29th, the Central Board of Film Certification removed significant context from the car attack scene, despite the film already carrying an A adults-only rating. Indian viewers took to social media to slam the board, arguing that the cuts neutered the film's emotional impact. Even in its abridged form, however, the scene remained deeply unsettling.
Barker's next film, Anything But Ghosts, already wrapped. Before Obsession even hit theaters, Barker had already completed principal photography on his follow-up feature for Focus Features. The film returns to its comedic roots, but with a horror twist. If Obsession was a comedy to horror pipeline, Anything But Ghosts is the comedy and horror hybrid. With Aaron Paul, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Violet McGraw attached, it's already one of the most anticipated horror comedies of 2027.
The film's ending was reshot 3 times. According to production insiders, Barker wasn't satisfied with the original ending, which was more explicitly supernatural, and reshot it twice before landing on the final version. Spoiler-free, the ending is deliberately ambiguous about whether Nikki is still possessed or has become something else entirely, sparking endless fun theories online. Smart. Where Obsession fits in 2026's horror renaissance. 2026 is shaping up to be a landmark year for horror, led by 2 unlikely micro-budget phenomena. Kane Parsons' Backrooms, $10 million budget, earned $154 million worldwide, and Cory Barker's Obsession, $750,000 budget and $242 million earned worldwide. Together, they are grossed nearly $400 million on a combined budget of under $11 million, proving that audiences are hungry for fresh, original visions unburdened by franchise expectations.
YouTube has officially taken over Hollywood, and this summer's box office proved it. Both directors are under 27. Both built their careers on free software and self-distributed short films, but both were discovered by producers scrolling through YouTube, and both are now being offered the keys to major horror franchises. Parsons is developing a sequel to Backrooms, and Barker is rebooting Texas Chainsaw Massacre for A24.
The lesson. The barriers to entry have never been lower, and the ceiling has never been higher.
Obsession is planned to begin streaming on Amazon Prime Video starting June 25, 2026. It's also still playing in select theaters nationwide. If you haven't seen it yet, what are you waiting for?
Exactly. What are you waiting for?